Hi, I'm Raquel, a truth seeker with a deep curiosity who lives to question overshared beliefs.
And I'm Christina, an interdisciplinary artist who believes in elevating undershared stories.
And we've saved you a seat at the Bombshell Brunches table.
Join us, a community who knows they were put here for more.
We chat with awe-inspiring people who live to make the world a better place in their own way, big or small.
We've got book club and product reviews and break down which tools and tactics we're using in life to help us thrive.
And let's be honest, sometimes just survive.
We'll spill the tea, set up success stories,
and leave you bite-sized takeaways that you can use to build the world you want to see. Today, we have the great fortune of recording from Vancouver, otherwise known as the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Squamish, Stolo, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam nations whose presence here reaches back to time immemorial. We honor their long history of caring for the land we currently work, play, and reside on, and aim to uphold and uplift the voice and values of our host nation. Quick note about land acknowledgements. Land acknowledgements have been an Indigenous tradition dating back centuries as a way to show respect for the land we are on. They give us an opportunity to reflect on the impacts of colonialism, reminding us to be accountable to the Indigenous peoples and to thank those who still live on and care for the land. Today, we are here with Efe. We're so excited. Yes, it's amazing. So, quick intro. We were invited to the Bigger Ideas Conference by Riley at Keeping It Kin PR, which is founded by Efe. And after learning more about her, we fell so in love with her ethos, her charisma, and her work. And honestly, there's so many areas that we could go into with this podcast episode. Truly, so many areas. Even when we walked through the door, we were like, oh, let's just jump to 6 billion different trees because we could riff so easily here. But I think we're going to try to keep it to the work that you're doing with the Odihi Foundation. I just think there's such incredible work there. And maybe this will be a repeat episode where we can talk about other things another time.
I really want to know. I really want an entire episode about the dinner party for 40,000 people. The 40,000 person dinner party. So
some people are hermits and other people try to throw a potluck that turns into 40,000 people joining. So
this is epic.
If you want to know more, stay tuned for the next episode. A quick bit about the Odihi Foundation. Their mission is to provide access to education, resources, and training that equips BIPOC marginalized women and girls with the tools to tap into their greatness and to become confident, self-motivated innovators and global change makers. Today, we're going to be digging into the importance of increasing access to resources, mentorship, internships, and networks for BIPOC girls and women, Efe's journey to self-discovery of her greatness, and how one can start building their confidence, the importance of representative leadership, and the Bigger Ideas Conference.
Just a few small things.
Right? Come on. I'm so
and that's Raquel trying to keep it focused.
Oh. Yes.
Just to be clear.
Yes. I'm a tree jumper.
We established within 2 minutes of these two meeting each other that they can't be in the same room while I'm in that room because I just have a panic.
Christina's going to have a heart attack.
I will be trying to like build bridges and dig wells.
Mr. Peter, and provide endless teas.
So there's hope.
That's right. Okay, well, let's start super simple. Maybe not easy, but simple. Let's start. Just tell us about your journey. So, like, where did you grow up? What was it like entering into the field of sciences? Because I know you started in strict sciences. And what kind of led you to this journey of empowerment?
Oh, God. Yeah, I think for me, it's just, I was born in Nigeria, first of all. It was hot, beautiful. If you've never been, I encourage y'all to go. And my mom was a missionary. She was a teacher, and she also had like multiple businesses. She was like a boss, like those entrepreneur that cannot just have one thing. And she had a clothing store. She had her bakery, and she was a missionary and also like a teacher. So that was like her passion anyway. So she loved giving back. She loved helping women. She loved helping families who were struggling. And for me, so I grew up in that environment of seeing my mom like firsthand, giving everything that she had to other people, to building community. And as a little girl, I really, really loved that about her. And we were very much like best friends growing up. And in some ways, we still are, even though we're very like alike now. So we just kind of buck heads a lot. But all with love. So I guess when I was younger, I got sick like probably around like 3 and 4. And it was just like after my birthday, I don't know what caused that. It kind of came sporadically and it left sporadically. But what was left basically was just my taste was gone. Like I couldn't taste what I was eating. I couldn't feel like I was enjoying food. Everything just sort of like turned over. So for almost 10 years, I spent in and out of the hospital. I was, being held by incubators. I had doctors that were literally trying to keep me alive. And at one point, I thought I won't make it till 10. So for me, my childhood was kind of like a whole, like it changed so quickly. And I just remembered always like looking outside the window, looking at other kids playing and thinking, oh my God, what I would give to be able to run around and not have all this restriction in my life or to not be down here. And I remember telling my mom whenever I would be strong enough to go back to my school and telling her and be like, people were bullying me, Mom. Like they call me skinny because I was skinny. Let's be clear. My mom had to stitch both of my pleated skirts to hold it, and people thought I was like so fragile, like I would break if you hug me, touch me, that kind of thing. And I just remembered that it was so exhausting, and because I was so smart, people would usually force me to do their schoolwork or their homework, and I was really good at science. So I kind of felt like I was doing a lot of people work because I was a 9-year-old at this point in a classroom of like 14, 15. So I told my mom, I was like, I want to be done. I want to graduate high school. And I want to be done. So by the time I actually told my mom that, I ended up jumping 2 classes. So we got prepared. In Nigeria, they call it a common entrance. And then I ended up actually preparing with my mom. And then I actually skipped 2 classes at the end. And then I was like graduating high school at 13. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm done. I want to go actually like have my life, be married by 25, have my kids. I love this woman. And that was it.
I would like to be done now. I will just complete the test to now be done now, okay? I just want to be done now. I wish I was
like, I need to go. I need to get out of this environment. But honestly, it really changed my perspective about life. I knew that I was capable of doing so much more. I think the illness really showed me that there was no boundaries surviving that. There was no doors, no ceiling that I couldn't absolutely like crack through. So for me, it was just like a second chance. You have to go at it and you have to do everything you possibly can to give yourself the life that you were almost deprived of, So, and you didn't even have a choice at that point. So I was like, go. So I told my mom, they already knew from childhood I wanted to be a gynecologist. I couldn't spell it. My brother taught me how to spell it. And eventually I learned that there's so much paperwork. So I was like, I think I'm going to change to become a midwife.
And I still can't spell it. So I'm changing.
I'm changing.
Profession. Gurner. I give up.
So I said, I'm going to become a midwife instead. And then they were like, that's great. Why? I just love babies. It's all about the children for me and taking care of the mothers. And they were like, okay, great. My mom has always been a huge supporter of her children. Go out there, do what you want to do, be happy as long as you're confident in what you're doing makes you feel like you're doing enough and you're proud of that. She really didn't care who you wanted to become as long as you were adding something positive to society. So for me, I was like, I'm doing this. I'm gonna go become a midwife. Well, that didn't happen exactly because by the time I actually went back to school, now I'm in my 20s and a mature student. That's a whole other story.
What did you do in between?
Well, we kind of moved from Nigeria to Brussels, found out my biological father at the point was not who he was. The house that we had been looking at, the Rolls Royce, the car, everything we were literally waiting for after all of this treacherous times. We got to Brussels. It was all a lie. You know those frames that you get where you go to Target and you see those perfect families and those kids and those kind of like cars or pictures of something? That's what we got sent over. It wasn't real. It was all an illusion. He had spent all of the money my mom was sending over to literally create a life for us. He had spent every single dime. And we got to Brussels. There was no beautiful mansion. There was no car.
No.
We had to literally bunker over in this 1-bedroom apartment. My mom, my 2 older brothers at the time, myself, and then later on we'll find out my mom was pregnant. And it's just awful.
This is a movie.
Wow.
This is a movie.
And this was her partner back in Nigeria? He had left first, right?
Yeah, he had left first. He's been...
So he was meant to set everything up.
Like, he's been living in Brussels for years. Because I didn't grow up with my biological father. My godfather, yes. But I thought that was my father. So for me, when I met him, there wasn't any relationship. So at this point, it's like, we're getting to know each other. But from the get-go, I already knew that this was kind of like not going to work out because everything that people said in front of my mom, behind my mom, kind of like, it was all real. Like, he wasn't really who he said he was, and he wasn't a kind person. He was very abusive and alcoholic, and he was just very interesting. And the funny part is, he was a pastor.
Don't get
religion. To be honest, I was born and raised, in the church. My mom and my whole family, we believe in God, and that's our faith. And for me, I think a relationship with God has to be personal. So
yes,
he's helped me through a lot of stuff. And I think one person's shortcomings or the way that they choose to understand life shouldn't affect everything. But for me, I knew I already had that love from him because he had protected me through that illness and helped us through poverty. So I was like, this is just another chapter and we'll get through this. So what I was doing those few years was helping my mom then raise my sister because they had a divorce. He was not pretty. He was abusive too, was my mom.
Were you stuck in Brussels then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Because we were moving there to live there, right?
Oh my gosh.
In the end,
you probably had all your money put in that move,
everything.
So it's not like easy to just come back.
No.
Nothing. There was even nothing to take because the account, the new life was all set up under, like his name, because he had been living here for years and years, right? So, so it was very interesting. And then the worst part was he always allowed us to go to the store to get things on credit. So he sent me to go get like some sort of like beefsteak from like a neighbor, like the butchers. And coming back, I ran into this girl and she was like, hey, you are so-and-so's daughter. And I was like, yeah, I heard you guys just moved. Yeah, I'm your half-sister.
Stop. This is a movie.
And that was it. This is the first time, syrup, and that was the last time. And that was it. It kind of confirmed the rumors of like he had started and had another family. And then we were like, well, we understand where the money went. He wasn't going to our pockets.
Wow.
It was going to someone else's. So by the time we realized this, it was already too late. We had already relocated. We are now living here. And there was no school, no private schools for me to go. So midwifery didn't happen.
Well, thankfully, you'd already finished school, hadn't you? You're like,
God. There was no school. And then my mom was pregnant. I was the only one who spoke French because I knew how to sing in French. So I had to translate for my mother and everybody else and try to listen to what he says because he's a great manipulative liar.
Wow.
If he's not here, you would think that I'm the enemy, your best friend.
Have you ever read The Psychopath Test by John Ronson?
No.
Well, I'll keep that one in.
Book club, we just did a book club episode, so this is our next one.
Okay, yeah.
That's who I grew up with. Somebody who was just so good at putting on a show.
And so, and with such brilliant women who have come over, who trusted, who nurtured, really, and it's not about, I don't think it's ever about outwitting. It's always about making the most of someone's generosity, kindness, and love.
Right?
It's inverting love, and that's...
Oh, I think that's so well said.
Yeah. Loyal, woman who loved him regardless of what people said.
Yeah.
And rather than learning how to love himself and also going through the work to overcome his own sort of like struggle, because I understand, with the older I got, that he was not well received, that he had no love from his family, but he didn't do the work. I feel like every day as a human being, I've learned this from childhood, we're all, we're composed of choices as well. Like every single day you wake up, you have to make choices. A choice to be good, a choice to be kind, a choice to be a good person, to go to work, to, treat your neighbor with respect, to help somebody that you see on the bus or someone who's struggling, to offer someone food when you know that even you don't have that much yourself, right? It's a choice to be a good human, to be a human being. That's what you got to do every single day. And I think a lot of people lack that. And I think that it's easy for nice and good people to be able to do that every day because they see you and that strength. And because they don't have it, it could be jealousy, or it could just be the fact that they can't comprehend it. But all they want to do is just destroy it. And that's what he wanted to do.
Hurt people.
That's right.
That's exactly.
Yeah. So, shocking for us. And just coming from somewhere not so entirely comfortable, but good enough life, but then coming to somewhere where it was just like complete poverty and staying in some sort of social housing and
cultural differences.
So
you're in Brussels now. You have language barriers. You have, and also just the emotional shift of having that rug pulled out from underneath you. And yet for you to then do that, go through that, come out of what I hope is the other side of that, and start a foundation to help other people.
Oh, that was
specifically. Well, I mean, apart from being a gynecologist, which we both know you can't spell,
and going to school for biomedical degree. Is that
biomedical? Yes.
Oh no, great. Yeah. So, but also the dream. We talked about this at the start of this when Efe walked in the door, and it was like every dream you have, just you're executing and planning the dream in your dream.
Yeah, literally. I'm planning it while dreaming.
So by the time she wakes up, it's execution time. Let's go. We're running. We are running.
Meanwhile, I have... Let's go. Do you see why they need to be separated? You're lucky as a time.
I'm doing it in time.
So you started, I'm shocked. See, the problem is I go through this and I'm like, okay, there's all these things. And then instead of what you two do is you go, poo, and you like get so excited about things. And I go, oh no, there's so much to do. And I start like writing my to-do list, my other to-do list. And then one to-do list joins into another one. And it's just this terrible neural network of chaos.
Girl.
It's chaos. Girl. It's not a map, it's chaos.
We ain't got time. Yeah, we gotta execute.
It's like I just think of myself as like Dory to like just keep swimming.
I'm the old fish that's like, don't go out there.
Oh my gosh, you're the dad.
No,
not with your little fin.
I think we just need to give her a little bit more time to catch up.
I think so.
I am a time optimist.
That's what I told her today.
A time optimist?
She's a time optimist.
That's a really good one. We got time. Nothing but time.
She's like, I'm a workaholic. I'm like, no, you're just a time optimist.
There you go. I'm taking that away.
You can have that.
You can thank my grandma, actually. That was hers.
There you go. I would credit her anytime I use them. But anyway, that's just life,
That was your life. That was not my life.
That was a Netflix series.
I would not be offended. Honestly, it's my goal to actually like do the show with Tyler Perry because he's always been like my hero. Mm-hmm. So, and this is literally right up his ballpark for like movies, TV series.
It's anyone's.
So, Tyler Perry, to get a wind of this, please, hook a girl up.
Chris is probably in the next room making notes. Yeah, how to make this into Great TV show.
I just heard a snicker. So.
Scrub. What?
Reach out to me.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, so you're in Brussels, but I believe you got your degree in the States, no?
I actually started some of them in the US, and then I finished everything else in Oxford in the UK.
Okay.
In Oxford?
In the UK.
You went to Oxford?
You puddle jumped. You jumped the puddles. She jumped. Different puddles.
That's a very bougie puddle to jump into.
I have always been a traveler, and I guess because of my mom and her travels with her missions work. So for me, she said the world is a oyster. And I just went and I was like, I'm going to spread my greatness of joy all over the world. And that's going to be it.
Okay, you say greatness a lot. And this we talked about this when we were looking it up.
I told it's my favorite word.
Have you?
I have many.
Do you agree with that?
I do.
Okay.
That's why I actually named Odihi greatness. So Odihi in Nigerian, and my dialect, is the essence of greatness.
Odihi.
Now you see the
yes. Okay, you bold and italicized greatness. So what does it mean to you when you say find your greatness?
It means a lot of things. And I think, for example, usually when I talk to younger girls, I do ask them, when I say the word, what is greatness to you first? I want to understand what they're picturing, what they're seeing, because I'm trying to help them with this sort of mind map, right? But after we kind of pull in a little bit more information, for me, it's reminding them of their values. It's reminding them that you as an individual, you are worthy simply because you exist in this world.
Wow.
And you have so much potential. And it doesn't matter your socioeconomic background, your family, whether you've got money or whether you're known or whether you got friends in low or high places, you can still do something in this world that you can be proud of. All you have to do is you have to be willing to go after your own dreams. You have to be willing to try. You know what I mean? So, because I can tell you and be like, hey, girl, this is the roadmap that I use to get from point A to point Z. It might not work for you, but at the end of the day, it's something that can actually help you as a roadmap to your journey. But you have to be willing to say, I want to get to that end. So that's the difference. For me, I was like, that's the future I want. This is the things that I'm currently faced with and the challenges that I know is going to be on the road. And I don't care about this long and windy road. I'm going to take it because I know exactly where my destination is.
How did you feel when you started each of these paths, to have... Some people call it confidence, some people call it conviction, some people call it resolution.
Oh, they call it probably craziness too.
I mean, there's you two again. I'm going to not put those words in your mouth. But what I would love to know, just asking for a friend, is that if you have a lot of self-doubt, again, for a friend. And
no one here on the table.
Nobody here has any crippling self-doubt or anxiety or stage fright.
No.
But if one did, how would you help people to navigate through that? Because you did it repeatedly over and over again, and then got into spaces and places that traditionally weren't welcoming, let alone oppressive or as restrictive or exclusionary.
I think growing up in Nigeria and also being able to travel the world from such a young age, having a mom that was a missionary and very adventurous. And also, like I said, she told us that you can be anything that you wanted to be, right? In Nigeria, I didn't really see race. I was Black. I saw white people. I saw brown people. I saw Asian people. But I never really thought that there was a category for each of these people. There was a label. Right. It was until I really kind of went, I got older. Even in Belgium, it didn't just appear straight away. I was like, oh yeah, you're a Black girl. That kind of kicked in probably maybe 2-3 months in, because we had a neighbor that was, of course, racist, and she thought it was fun to touch my hair. And she called it very mad crazy, because I guess she's never seen an afro. So clearly you're supposed to have straight hair and not have goofy stuff. So for me, that was kind of my first taste of knowing that I was different. And then only because of that experience. So by the time we moved from like this small little town in Brussels, and I took my husband there for the first time this summer. So he was this summer has been a lot. And I kind of just said I wanted to go back to be able to lay to rest some of those things that I was carrying. And beautiful. I wanted him to come with me to see where everything started, for me to also be able to get awakened again, to reappreciate where I am in life and how far I've come. And he opened such a beautiful portal for me to just feel so much gratitude, but also I felt so emotionally like all over the place because I had to deal with emotions that I never thought I would. But in the end, I just felt like I try to tell people, you have to give it a go. It doesn't matter. This is the thing. I don't care how people see me. I don't care if they laugh at me. I don't care if they think I'm pretty or not. I don't care. The validation that matters is mine. And that's always going to be the end all. Like that's end period, end of conversation, right? So I validate everything that I feel about myself. And all of these started from that moment when we actually arrived in a very interesting environment, because I was now placed in a place where people didn't really love us. We didn't really have that much. We were going to Salvation Army for clothes. Our whole life was different. And you can't have pride. And even if you do, it's like, how long are you going to actually like drive this boat for? You know? How long are you going to carry pride for? Like, who are you trying to impress? At the end of the day, eventually somebody is going to actually see the jig. So you might as well. The jig is up. You know?
Someone will see that jig of yours.
And for me, I think I was just so like passionate about trying to always be at the forefront of who I am and actually getting people to see me the way I want them to see me, in my truth, in my authenticity, and in my mess, because this is life. I'm not a normal kid because I didn't grow up like a normal kid. If you did, I celebrate that and I love that for you. But I had a different card that was, that I had to be dealt with. And in the end, it's like, I just didn't want to build such a huge legacy, knowing where my destination is, only for me to build it on lies or deception, the same way that I've seen my biological father do it. And then when you get there, it's like a stab in the heart.
Yeah.
And then people have trusted you. And people admired my mom. Like, she could say anything, a word, or when she was struggling, she didn't even need to even ask, but people would show up for her, And for me, that was like a beautiful thing. So I wanted to have a life where people knew me. Like I had circle of people who know me, that when they say, oh, Efe was gossiping about so-and-so, they'd be like, no. Because it's true. Yeah. If Efe actually like knows you, like the Efe would know if she got a problem with you, you would know first. She ain't gonna go tell Jane or Clarissa or whatever, you know what I mean? She'll come straight to your face and be like, girl, let's sit down. Let's talk about this. You want to fix this or you want to go your own way?
I don't want to have a talk with that.
Sit down with me. So basically, that's how I built my confidence, knowing that I could be anything and I could try and I could fall flat on my face. But at the end of the day, I love myself. I love myself so much because nobody knows what I've had to go through to be who I am. And nobody is ever going to understand everything that we had to see, that we had to go through at a very young age to get to where we are and still be a kind human being. So for me, it's like, why not? So I try to tell people how I did it. It's always making sure that I had words of affirmation, spending time with God, listening to my mom's warm wisdom, my grandma's wisdom, and watching people that I inspired, around the world to kind of just take a little piece of all the good things that they had and incorporate them and use them to create like my own roadmap of who is Efe. What do you want to become? What do you want to be known for? And where are you going with your life at the end of the day? And it goes back into that value. What do you want to leave this world with when you're gone? That you actually made a lot of money, she wore pretty clothes, or what? Or she actually did something that changed people's lives, And that's what people know my mom as. It wasn't like she was the richest person. It was she helped women to reconnect with children, to get an education so they can get a job and they can be somebody in society. It was something like tangible that was so big that you can't even put a price on it.
It's life-changing.
Thank you. So that for me is like my motivation and the focus that I use every single day. To help people be like, don't care about what people think about you. That's all noise. It's a distraction. Focus on your goal and where you want to go to, and you'll be fine. And they laugh at you. Laugh.
Yeah.
Laugh at yourself. It's okay.
I do. all the time. I laugh.
I make a lot
at myself. I have a lot of emotions at myself. It happens a lot.
Honestly, I laugh at myself. I'm the hardest to myself. I'm just a lot of things, but you know what? That's the human experience.
Well, I think it can be. I think as an actor, this is a really interesting point. And I love the shift of perspective of you're doing everyone a disservice if you're not being true to yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think that's such a really great embodiment where actually I'm asking you the questions of how are you confident? How are you resolute? How are you this? How are you that? And you're reflecting back on me. You can't afford to not be.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're inauthentic to everybody else.
Yeah.
You can't possibly be create a legacy or be, anyone's best version of you if you are not your own.
And we're all here to bring something different to the table.
Agreed.
Right? We're all here to bring our unique pieces. So maybe it's not about having all of the things we're told that's what we should bring to the table. It's more about, really going internal and figuring out which values align for us. Mm-hmm. Who do we want to be?
Yes.
And I think what you're saying about when you go through trials and tribulations, whatever those look like, some people will have big ones, some people will have small ones. How you show up in those moments, I think reaffirms who you are. And that's maybe where the confidence comes from, because it's like, I was in a situation where I could have gotten in a lot of trouble, and could I have lied and hid it and only gotten away with it? Likely I could have, but I held my own and owned up and took responsibility. Okay, you know what? Down the line, I know what kind of person I am. So I'm confident in who I am. It's not like this thing is going to come up later on.
Yeah, and therefore going back to what you said earlier, when people turn around and say, oh, Effie said this about me.
Exactly.
No, she did it. And I know that she did it.
Checkmate.
Yeah. Get to checkmate moments. I like that. Both of us are too.
It's better because you don't want someone to really be able to have that power over you. I think for me, I realized that when we got to Brussels and seeing my mom go through all this hardship, being pregnant, and then having to deal with all of this at 13 and a half, and then just having our world upside down, it really just showed me that I didn't want to build a life on lies, on deceiving people and not having trust, because it was already difficult for me to trust people. So in the end, I was just like, it has to be different. You have to kind of let go of those generational curses or trauma or patterns that a parent, a family, a friend, set for you. It's not yours if you choose that you don't want it to be yours. So for me, I realized that I had the power of choice. And I could make any choices from this point forward to make my life the way I wanted it to be, and also help him through his, because I didn't have to become whoever he wants me to be. So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Can you imagine?
I just can't wait till you watch this movie. This TV show is going to be awesome. Just add that to your rainbow bucket.
She doesn't have a rainbow bucket. She just does.
No, we dream. We dream and just go.
Oh my God. You would do that.
I want to dig in a little bit to the offerings of the Odihi Foundation. What I was reading is you kind of offer leadership training, capacity building, employment for students, apprenticeships, networks.
We do a lot of good things.
Yeah. These are all
somehow we do.
So important. And I want to know why. Why are these the specific things that are important to be offered to BIPOC girls and women?
Yeah, so I guess, again, like I was saying, when I grew up in Nigeria and we got to start exploring the world when we would travel with my mom to different parts of the world and seeing how people lived, their culture and what they did, I realized that some of the similar struggles that I was having with them was access to resources. So a lot of people, it didn't matter what country they were, people really struggled with financial support. They struggled with even access to an education because for a lot of countries in Africa, girls are not allowed to go to school, and even like the rest part of the world. I had friends who were from India, and it was the same thing. Like young girls were usually put out of school to get married or go and support their family at home. And for me, it was the opposite. My mom was actually like championing me to be like, yeah, go to school, go do whatever, get a good job as long as you can take care of yourself, because I don't want my kids living in my house forever and that kind of stuff. I was like, well, we get there. So I think for me was just seeing that, and then also that experience as well, getting bullied at school and seeing how hard my mom had to work to be able to even afford putting us in this school was such a testament to her tirelessness, and her dedication to make her children be able to have a better world, because she knew better than any of us did. She's seen the world like a lot more before we did, right? So when I got to Brussels and I encountered that, and I was actually then getting out a little bit and trying to find a school to go to, I was then faced with the same thing. We couldn't go because I didn't speak Dutch. And even when I was learning Dutch, I didn't have enough money to go to like the private school, because I thought it'd be best to do an English school while you're learning other languages, because that's my primary language, right? So that I couldn't do. And then it was just from there spiraling. And then I just noticed people were facing the same thing. So Odihi started as a BIPOC, as a Black organization, and then we expanded it to BIPOC because I saw many people going through the same thing in the Indigenous community and, from like other Black and Brown community. And I was like, yeah, let's start here, because this in the world, in society that we live in, these are the people that are always neglected, that are always forgotten. I'm a Black woman, and I was sitting in a room of like other race of people, like the Caucasian race, and I'm often overlooked. And I say this because when I was a student, it was exactly the same thing. When I managed to get my diploma in nursing and midwifery, it was exactly the same thing. Oh, you can't be a nurse, And when I started working in the hospital and trying to work in the gynecology department and different fields, the same thing. Oh, you can't do this. They'll give you odd shifts just to make you feel uncomfortable, to the point that they're pushing you just to quit, So my mom and I, we both studied nursing. She ended up being a nurse practitioner, changing her entire career at like 46, 48, And for me, it was like watching us both have the same struggle. She is working in London. I am living and studying and working at the Oxford University Hospital, facing the same challenges she is in London, getting overlooked for promotion because she's not young, or she doesn't feel like she's going to be the fun employee. So we want to find someone that's more easily manipulated, I guess, That's what I told her, because I was like, what else is the option, So it was just a lot of mixed things. And I felt like the really top level was when I started working in the corporate world. So now I've gone through all this struggle. First of all, couldn't afford school in Brussels when we arrived. So my mom found me a school for culinary school. I went to become a chef. I know. I saved up money. They were paying us €1 every lunch hour. You cook, you serve at 12, so you can learn how to be a waitress and how to serve customer service. We learned that you get €1 per hour. I saved every single penny, and I went to Chicago, stayed with my best friend, and I got myself a nice degree or a diploma, and then I moved back to Belgium, because I was at this point, I can't leave my mom and my sister. I have to come back home, and I need to be closer to them. Finished that when I did my nursing and midwifery diploma in the same college me and my mom started. We went to school together. That same school, the teacher told me when I asked her for a reference letter, you know what they're looking for in Oxford, so you should just probably put that dream aside.
No.
Yes. And she didn't give me the reference letter.
No.
So I had to ask somebody else to do that. And then when I got to Oxford and I started studying...
Is that a racial comment?
Oh, yeah, for sure. But she would never admit it. She would never admit it.
Oh.
Because she'd probably tell you, like she did when I actually brought it up. She was like, I was just doing what is in your best interest.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's so great. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. My best interest.
P.S. I just want to take a moment. If you ever think someone is going to fail at something, please do not try to save them from it. They're either going to prove you wrong and succeed, or they're going to fail and learn on their own. It is not your job to
derail their dreams.
Right? Yeah, PSA.
You're not saving anybody.
I know.
Stop it.
That really hurt. And I left there and I just felt, that's your opinion. I appreciate it. After that, and I started my biomedical science, I realized that I was a mature student at this point. in a classroom of 18-year-olds. So now I'm the older one, where the younger one, I was trying to catch up. It was so hard. And in the end, I formed a group. We all managed to graduate. It was epic. But then I absolutely saw again the shift when I started doing like more of like support and prospective students, going around and speaking to younger girls to say, this is how I afforded an education. You had to work 3 jobs, barely slept, but hey, I'm here. So there's also scholarships and so on. So that's where that leadership kicked in for me, helping other young girls to understand how to access an education. I was like a living, walking, sort of like the guinea pig. I experimented a lot of things on myself. And as I was going through all of those trials and tribulations, I was documenting it and then teaching people along the way to say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm going through. Come along with me. We can actually like learn it together. I'm not the expert, but I'm just telling you like what's available, what the options are.
It's so interesting that you developed a personality that didn't feel weighted down by helping people at the same time. We were joking about this earlier about I make PDFs if more than 2 people ask me the same question. I put it into a document so I can share it with others.
So good.
I know.
Girl, you got time. You got time. Because we're out there in the streets executing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. While
She's making PDFs.
I am making the PDF. I have the standard operating procedure if the manual's available for you. Quick reference, easily searchable because I've labeled them all correctly.
Oh, labeling. Oh, wow. I love this.
Yeah, with that. But that's what's so interesting is having a foundation, having a community building initiatives that help people on the way as you are helping yourself, elevating yourself, I think is the most authentic, one of the most authentic ways possible to be able to say, you can do your version of this because I've done mine and here it is.
I just wanted them to know that you can try things and you shouldn't be afraid to fail, you know, because I think a lot of people are afraid of failure because they think that when they fail, that means you're not smart, you're not good enough, or you won't cut out for it. But for me, I've always seen failure as my teacher, you know, and I try to question it like, what happened? It's the same thing with fear. As my teacher, like, what are you here to teach me? Like, why is this happening? If I'm going through something in my life or I'm going through something in my career, I try to, you know, look at it closely and say, where is this coming from? You know, try to find the root cause. And then from there, I kind of walk my way backwards to get to the goal. It's not fear. Oh, it's just myself, my consciousness, my body trying to teach me something, to be bold or to try something a different way or to ask for help, that kind of thing, you know? So there are many things, but if we don't confront those feelings and we just sort of bubble them in and we allow them to rule over our lives, then it kind of manifests into other different things. And then we start having confidence issues, self-esteem issues, and then you start doubting yourself and so on. So there's so many things. But for me, I wanted to show the women that I was so fortunate to teach, to support in school, outside school, a church or organization program. This is where I'm at. Let's go together. Let's figure it out. And by the time I started working in the corporate world, I was again blown away because I was working in a scientific laboratory. I wanted to get promoted. It never happened. In the end, they gave me a job to become like a project manager, system administrator for a software system. I'm like, I want to progress as a scientist. You're making me go into IT. Into IT. Yeah. And it was such a weird thing. And then in the end, I was like, oh, for Christ's sake, I hated it. But in the end, I was like, okay, well, let's see if this is an opportunity for me to really see if I can save myself from this. If you do good, maybe they can see it and they can change everything. So I learned everything I possibly can to make myself so indisposable. And then I saw an opportunity where I waited and waited for months. They didn't promote me. And I just quit. I was like, honey, I'm going to focus on my business. Because at this point, I was already speaking here and there, consulting here and there. And this was back in like 2012, my first year for undergrad. I was doing this small business. And then I was like, I want to do this full time. I want to go out there and actually like help people. He was like, go for it. And then somebody found me on LinkedIn. And they were like, oh, we want to hire you, interview you. I thought this was my brother playing pranks. I didn't take it seriously. I was like, oh yeah, sure, send me the invite. Okay. So I was like, yeah. I was like, send me get the invite, and I was just like, oh, they're playing praying, and but no, I'm jobless. And then I looked at it, I was like, oh, interview. I was like, oh, sure, I'll show up for the interview. I woke up the next day, I was like, oh, it's like, you know, those things you see on meme where it's like 11:59 and you're like rushing to get there. I just sat there, I was like, oh, put on a blazer, hello. And then I showed up, it was really an interview, and I was like, I got even more blazer.
No prep.
And they were like, we're looking for 3 things: someone with a scientific background, who knows how to speak French, and who understands this system that I've just spent like the past year and a half, 2 years learning. And the job was back in Belgium, a place I haven't been to for years because I was traumatized. Can you imagine?
Wow.
So I had to go back to Brussels, and that was where the healing really began for me in 2008.
Oh, wow. Flying on some universal science.
So that was it. From there, I left the scientific job, and that was when I started entering into the big pharma. And now my first job was at GSK, GlaxoSmithKline in Brussels. And I was working at their laboratories.
Just a small job.
Just a casual job from a girl in the little small town. But I saw leadership. I saw the person I was reporting to, and I was at a leadership role, and I was now managing a small team of people and showing them this. I was going into the lab and running prototypes and so many different things. And it just showed me that I was capable of more, that this was a great investment. And from that, it opened doors to Pfizer, Novartis, and eventually Accenture. And that was what brought me, when I came to Canada, that was one of the first companies I worked with. And I enjoyed it. But again, I faced challenges because as a Black woman, I didn't see a lot of Black women in leadership, and I wanted to be there, but I also saw the journey to also get progressed. I waited 2 years to get the promise that I was, assured you're going to get there. And eventually it didn't happen. Just when I was about to quit, on the day I was also receiving a bad news, they made me redundant. And I was like, you know what? It's all good. God is watching over me. Let me ask for some severance package.
Get that severance.
Let me leave here with something in my pockets for the stress and the depression that y'all have put me through. So that's what happened. And in the end, I ended up doing a DIY for my house and saved every single penny. And we put it into Odihi that same year. We invested a few in there. I know you're not supposed to put your money into your company, but I tell people I'm blessed. I don't have a job. I have a passion and I have a gift, and this gift is Odihi, is the coaching element, and it's something that I get to do every day. I get to wake up and do what I love every single day. And this is exactly what little Efe in that hospital bed dreamt of, that she would walk her backside off to be able to be so independent and be her own woman, that she can have so much surplus, whether little or big, depending on how people see their success. For me, is people, is building something that you can be proud of. Not your account, is the people that you helped. That is a success for me. And be able to actually give back the same way my mom always did. So for me, I'm lucky. I am blessed. I am so blessed. So why not do this? Because I've seen people in leadership struggle. So that's what our boardroom program does. We teach women who want to sit on board, who want to be in the C-suite, how to be better prepared. Come here, ask questions, talk to these C-suite leaders, and be able to just be better prepared to understand what that also entails, so you're not surprised.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's a whole culture change.
It is. It is.
It's different language.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's different relations.
Yeah.
And you get thrown in.
Yeah.
My board experience was, I just spent the first year and I had a rough time.
I didn't realize, I was like, oh my God, for you to say that.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm still learning because I never knew anything about the nonprofit world. My mom was in it, but it's not as if there's, PDFs.
Nobody was sending her.
No, I just sent me no PDF.
You didn't know something like that? How'd you adapt?
No. So I was looking for this PDF. Tell me. But there was no PDF for me to be able to understand how to start an NFP. So my husband and I, we did our best and went forth, and we did what we felt was important for people. What do people need? I asked a lot of questions. I spent, months trying to talk to peers and people I went to school with, and even reviewing the people I was coaching, the young girls to the older women that I was coaching who were transitioning career and struggling, and looking at all this data, because, we got to look at data, and just really looking at what is the common denominator here? And how can I form Odihi to be a place where people can come and they can lay down their burden and be able to feel nurtured, to be able to feel seen, to be able to feel heard, and to have a place where they can come and take what they need with whatever resource we are blessed with along the way. And that was it. It was just like doing a couple of events. The first year I did almost all of them by myself, and I was exhausted.
Wow.
The second year, we started bringing in more people that we could trust, because running a nonprofit is hard. 90% of the time, it's hard. This whole year, 2 people have already left, and it's been challenging because everything falls back on your shoulders. Your other company suffers, and then one takes over, but you got to make do. So we try to help people because there is just, you have to. You have to. If you've been blessed and you've actually made it in life to some point, you just have to give back.
It sounds like you're giving forward. I think giving back is when you turn back to the next generation and say, here you go. But when you give forward, you're equipping people as you're going.
No, there you go. I love that. Yeah. Give forward.
Give forward.
Give forward.
Give forward.
My gosh, sorry. I feel like I've actually shocked you guys.
What are you talking about? Yeah, I am completely shocked right now. I've gone through an entire journey, and it's like, I just want a movie. I want a book.
Christine's trying to bring out the popcorn.
I have got my own rainbow bucket specifically for your life now.
Just for your story.
So Chris and I are going to scheme on how we're going to make this into a whole production. Live action. We'll have animation version.
Lives.
I told you. I feel like sometimes I'm like an 80-year-old in a 38 or 37-year-old body.
We were just talking about that for me earlier as well. Like a 63-year-old.
Yeah.
Just with crazy
But it's been all good things. I won't change anything for the world because it's brought me to exactly where I was meant to be. So, and I'm very thankful. I've had good people who have supported me. I've had good people who've prayed for me. I've had people who've given me money when I had none and fed me when I had none. When I was homeless, offered me a place to stay. So it doesn't always just end in the bad story if you don't want it to. You can change your life if you actually work really hard and continue to have hope and believe that there is more greatness for you because you deserve it.
I love that.
I don't know a better way to end this podcast.
I have one better way.
Go on then.
One better way. I just want you to tell the listeners, so when this comes out, the Bigger Ideas Conference will already be done for this year. However, I know that you guys have, you're open to companies or people joining to help build next year's.
Yeah.
And for people who are maybe interested in coming next year, can you just talk a little bit about the Bigger Ideas Conference?
Yeah, the Bigger Ideas Conference is really about taking our, women's mustard seed of ideas to the next level. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're trying to start a business, transitioning career, a mother who's coming back into the workplace, or entrepreneur, it doesn't really matter. The only reason I didn't want it to be a BIPOC place is Odihi was never meant to be a specific race. It was meant to be some place that actually helps everybody. But I understand there's a struggle there, so let's focus on that. When I had this dream for the Bigger Ideas, it was when I wrote my first book, Faith Over Fear, and I wanted to gather women who have inspired me to show other people how they can also be able to do it. And I felt like I had friends who were white who were so passionate, and they were like go-getters. They meant what they said and they followed through with actions, because that's what I watch. Words are cheap, because I saw the master of it. So if you give me words all day and you wrote me your poems, that's great. Let me see what you do with it. So the Bigger Ideas Conference is truly, really about helping women from all walks of life to be able to connect with the best of the best, the normal people, the people who don't see themselves as normal, but coming together and really exchanging ideas, collaborating, connecting, and just having that invitation to have a conversation with someone new, right? So that's what we do every year. We invite hiring managers, we invite, leaders in different fields, from CEOs to people who are running their own companies or working at C-suite or working at high-level jobs or schools or whatever. And we have breakout sessions to also help them from interview, resume, cover letter, and so much more, where they could actually learn and be equipped. And we invite all these good leaders to come in and pour into them. So you could be a student, a newcomer, you could be a mother returning to the workplace. Come on down. Come and take what you need. Find someone here that you can actually truly be intentional, collaborate and connect with, and go out and do something great. go do something of value.
I'm so excited.
So if y'all want to be a part of that for next year,
yes, sign me up.
Come and help me, because it takes a village.
I think we need to have a brunch.
Yes.
And I want to see follow-ups. Like maybe when you come out of the conference and you're doing something incredible, you should maybe post about it and tag us, because we want to know, what have you done? Like, what are you doing with this? This is so incredible, and it's such a gift to have that access, because a lot of people, I think an overwhelming amount of people, don't have that access.
Yeah, that's why every year for the past 2 years that we've been blessed to do it, we have a post-conference sort of like mentorship and accountability session 1 month after. And we invite the speakers that can make it, and we invite the attendees to come in and get mentored, but also to check in and see, how is that idea going? My hope for it is to have like, not a pitch competition, because there's so much, and I don't want to always do things where there's so much supply of it, but I try to create things that are unique and looking at those huge gaps. So have something like, what is your bigger ideas, where we get folks to actually like really create something that they can also showcase, but also think about creating some of those ideas in the room and giving them a space to actually have like almost like a think tank lab, and create your ideas. So that's something that I'm actually trying to work together right now and see, how do I want to really put it out there for people to be able to, be a part of that. What's your bigger ideas, sort of like, lab. Look at that scientist. But anyway, we hold them accountable 1 month after, just to make sure that they're staying on track and we can support them or connect them if they're still shy or whatever. So
wow.
Nobody gets left behind. No.
Wow.
No, in Effie's world.
I love Effie's world.
We're winning.
We want to be Effie's world.
Everyone is welcome, as long as you're intentional, you're going to get stuff done.
Willing to try and oriented.
That's right. Don't come in here with PDFs and poems.
No rainbow buckets allowed. I will bring you all the PDFs and poems.
We want dreams.
We want the dreams
in the dreams.
Yes. We want people who are not sure where they're going, but are willing to give it a go anyway, and are not afraid of change.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you two have a great time over there.
Thank you. Thank you. Off we go, girl. We'll send you a postcard.
Thank you so much. This has been what an absolute treat and an honor.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun. See, now I got to actually say I know 2 other older sisters. Wow. You guys look like my age. I'm just going to go for it.
I'm older.
My sisters in Vancouver. I know 2 new people, so that's awesome. I can create a PDF.
That's right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for showing up, Bombshells. We'd like to thank our brilliant media and production team for their incredible work on each episode. We look so shiny because of them. As for you, my darlings, head to our website, bombshellbrunches.com, to sign up to the mailing list for future events and deals, connect with us on socials, dig into resources, and leave us little love notes. Until next time, stay focused, fierce, and fabulous. Bye.